A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. In this video we're going to be attempting to review the Wolf Pack. Here's the reveal, which is a trio of microfiber cloths that I bought for £10 from Into Detailing. So they're about £3.33 a cloth. The cloths are the same apart from the colour, but the same format, so it's not like some trio that have all got different properties. It's the same cloth in essence. Now, what type of cloth is this? Well, it's a 470 GSM, so it's quite a dense cloth. So that's the grams per square metre. So when you get up to 500 GSM with this format of towel, which looks a bit more like a coral fleece towel to me than the real split pile, but I don't know. It's like a coral fleece format with a suede board around the outside, which can help keep the towel together. But some people also have a preference for an edgeless towel because you're not introducing another material. You know, it's just the towel with edgeless. So some people like that for buffing. So when you ball them up, sometimes you might be buffing with the edge, although it's microfiber suede on the edge, not barbed wire, so you haven't got to panic. The blend is 70-30, so 70% polyester to polyamide. That's a soft blend. When you get the polyamide content up, you get this gumminess to it normally with a 730. It doesn't feel that gummy to me. It doesn't feel as gummy as the Eagle Edgeless. Marshmallowy is the word I'm looking for. Now, it looks like a 16 by 16 towel. The other thing with the rag company is the rag company really the first microfiber specialist, and they kind of did really good information on microfibers that I used to kind of educate myself on them. And they always used to say, and they were the only people that used to tell you where the microfibers came from, China or Korea. So you knew with each of their towels whether it was Chinese or Korean. It doesn't tell me if this is Chinese or Korean on the rag company site. That's only become a thing for me because of their education. So I want to see that on there because I want to know if it's Chinese or Korean. And I remember saying a long time ago, if they don't tell you, it usually means it's Chinese. So I'm guessing this is Chinese. Yeah, so it doesn't have that gumminess to it, but it's very soft and very fluffy. Now they do say to wash all of their microfiber because with this particular type of cloth, you can get, it's not linting as such, you're not pulling the fibres out, but it's from the manufacturing process and the cutting, there's lots of fibres floating around and they fall into the cloth. So if you wash them and tumble them, you're guaranteed to get that out. Typically all I'll do is with a new cloth, see that? You can see all the bits floating around the air. Just give it a little shake out like that. But they recommend that you wash them, which I understand. Now, what would you use this towel for? Now, they advise that you could use this for rinseless washing. You know, so you could put it in a bucket with rinseless wash solution and wipe off dirt. I don't like that quite so much. I prefer using traditional wash media rather than like 10 cloths. That obsession with the fact that cloth has got to be completely clean every time it hits the panel is over the top for me. If it's not for you, that's fine, but it's over the top for me because there's dirt on the panel anyway. So as soon as the clean microfiber makes contact and moves, you're moving dirt. So what does it matter if there's a bit of dirt there, as long as you don't press in? So I'm not all that changing the cloth every time. It's overkill. But there's a reason you could prefer it as a rinseless wash just because of the size and the fact you can put it in the washing machine. You can use 10 of them or whatever. They also recommend that you could use it for wax removal, polish removal, spray wax removal as well, it says. I tend to find now, in my preference, that with these types of cloths, that they become a bit sticky on the paint because of all of the fibres. They can bed into the paint or drag. All those fibres can drag, so a different type of nap works better. But I tend to like these on polishes and waxes and sealants. So let's get on with this. Let's get on with this. I've got a little test over here. I've got the Rupes DA course there. I've got the black hole there and the turtle wax on the other side. So we've got wax glaze heavy cutting compound, which is a nightmare. We'll start down here with the easy one. So it should take this wax off, no problem. So let's just have a go. Yeah, it does. That feels really good actually. So it's not getting it all off, but that's not the towel, that's more the wax. And it's been sitting on here for about an hour, which is a bit naughty. But yeah, it does a good job with that. That's not the easiest wax to remove on the face of the planet, but neither is it the hardest. That feels good. There is quite a lot of cut bits on the cloth. So let's just flip to a new side and we'll take off this glaze. You can see all the little bits of cloth. I bet this is going to work really well. Yeah, because this particular glaze, black hole, comes off the car really well. Even though saying that, it's been sat there for so long, there's some little bits. See little bits there after the first wipe. That normally comes off with one swipe. So that's been sitting there for too long. That's okay though. Tradesman working outside for hours. I've been waiting for him to go so I can film. It's my biggest problem. Right. Good. Now this one I'm expecting it to struggle, so let's get a completely new side. The border isn't really a problem. Now I'm expecting it to struggle with this because this is the Rupes one that's baked on here, or it's dried on for a long time. It's not struggling, but I can feel it's stiffer to remove. Yeah. So any cloth would probably struggle there. It's doing a pretty good job actually. Let's give it a flip. Yeah, so that compound, I'm using that because it's quite a stiff compound and it can be a bit tricky to remove. It's done a good job. So yeah, now let's just take some detail spray. So I can find sometimes with detail sprays, these cloths aren't the best. So let's just try this. Put loads on. I'm gonna go more. We'll go. Let's see what this is like. We'll just buff it off. Yeah, so because we put too much on, yeah, we're going to need to change sides. But it's true actually. So now it's going to work. They're not quite as good with wet products. Don't know why. Well, it's because I think all the fibres are upright. And when they get wet, they can just stick out a little bit, stick to the panel, whereas just a normal terry cloth or whatever weave is fine, but it's not that bad actually. So yeah, you could use those for like wet cloth material, detail spray, dry wipe downs. They do say glass as well, I think, on the product description. I wouldn't go near glass with these because glass does grip and you'll pull fibres from these. So the advantage of these cloths is they're soft. They've got loads of material on them, they're very absorbent, and they do have lots of functions, and they are very safe, kind of paintwork towels, if you like. They are also reasonably well priced. The Eagle Edgeless is about £5, whereas this is about £3.33, so it's decent. You can go cheaper though, we've got to tell you that in a review. I think like the cheapest source of microfiber in the UK is probably Paragon, who do you get close to wholesale prices with them. Not quite as good quality as the rag company. It depends on, you'd always have to go by towel, wouldn't you, to compare, but very good prices. But it's a lot cheaper than, say, let's give another comparison, than the Microfiber Madness Crazy Pile, which is £10 a cloth for the same size. So what I've always found with rag company is they do a wide range of microfibers, some of which are not cheap, and you could say they're expensive, but some of which are a lot cheaper than some of the brands that offer microfiber. So I've always felt their prices were okay, and they do have some good sort of normal terry cloths that are very good price, like the Eagle Edgeless, like the Edgeless 300, which I think is a fantastic towel. Now I remember when I first sort of got into all this detailing stuff, and I was so excited by all this different type of microfiber and all these different products. I loved it. I was like, when I saw the rag company and all their different things and all the products they were selling, it was like, I saw all that stuff and I was I had to buy it because I was so interested. But unfortunately, like as the years roll by and you do this for long, you know, for a long time, that magic side of detailing disappears where you're in love with it all and you like really want to try it, the honeymoon period. And then you go from that to just wanting to get it as cheap as possible, which is great. You save money, you can go and find out where you get it all as cheap as possible, but you do lose a bit of that fun factor, the fun side of all of this, which was really important to me. So like the towels that I tend to use, I've gone from like wanting loads of different towels, like all these cool different towels for different functions, to really just using those grey ones there. I've got some of those pink ones, which are very similar. I got those direct from a mill and they cost me like about 50p a towel, and I bought like 500 of them. They were just, you're not going to be able to get those, but that's like a hack. And I did that hack, and I've got enough microfiber towels for the rest of my life now for nothing. But what I've lost is all the fun of exploring kind of microfiber, and that's part of what the rag company do extremely well, is they give you that whole range of stuff, and this is an example of it. They market it and brand it well. I think it's a good idea. Like the Wolf Pack is a nice idea as a kind of brand thing, which is what I remember like 10 years ago talking to Imran and saying, you know, Imran sold his towels as like a Korean 480, 80-20 plush microfiber. And I'm like, you can't do that. You've got to call it something cool. Call it the Raptor, call it the thingy. And he called it the Raptors, I think. We don't sell them anymore. And he had them stamp branded and all that, because I think it's really important to get that desirability and simplicity and brand identity with the microfiber. The rag company have got all that. So with these cloths, the main thing I want to get across in the review is they're not, to me, they're not quite as good as the Eagle Edgeless. I remember those fluffy Eagle Edgeless. They're more gummy, they feel nicer. They're better, the Eagle Edgeless are better for me. And my tip would be, get the Eagle Edgeless 350, because I don't think you need that 500 GSM thickness. That 350 is kind of like as high as I ever need to go, even on the worst type of paint. It's less about the towel, really. That's what I think nowadays. So if you want the real top quality stuff, it's the Korean Eagle Edgeless range, 350, 500, or even 600 if you want the pillow, but 350. But if you want something that you might, cause you wouldn't use the Eagles as rinseless wash, they're too premium, you know, £5 a towel and you put dirt in it, you don't want to do that. With these, you could do it. They remind me a little bit of the Minx towel that the rag company used to do years ago, which was a pure coral fleece. Not quite as, less fluffy. Those are more fluffy than what I remember the Minx towel to be. That was like pure, like a fleece that you wore. You know, it was the towel equivalent of a fleece. I don't think they sell it anymore. These are sort of similar to that, but with a hint of fluffiness. They seem to work really well though, guys. Another thing with these towels, the more times you wash them, they do tend to build up lint in the wash over time. So you can pull fibres from them. And sometimes you're not actually pulling fibres out of the cloth, you're pulling loose fibres that have built up in the cloth from the wash process. So how you look after them is important. There's a little thing here. You can get this little baby hair brush. I've had this since the early days. Little baby hair brush, and you can just pin your microfiber towel down and just always just brush it out. This soft baby hair brush. It's really quite good for combing out microfiber towels. When you wash your microfiber towels, be careful if you're using a washer and dryer. Never do a wash and dry cycle, because after the spin, the microfiber towels get stuck on the barrel, and then it goes straight into a dry cycle where they're stuck, you know, the tumble dry, and they bake on the side of the barrel and they go all crispy and crunchy and creased up and matted. So do a wash with low non-liquid, non-bio, spin it, and then open up the barrel and pull all the microfiber cloths off. Just give them a little thing, shake them all off, then do your drying cycle. And then you can dry them for a little bit just to warm them up, fluff them out, and then you can put them, you know, in the winter inside on a clothes horse or on a clothesline outside. That's the easiest way to do it. Yeah, good cloths, I think. Pretty much anything the rag company sell is going to be good. I'd love to see the rag company do. I said this to them decades ago when I met them. They came over here, Jeff. I'd love them to do a Costco equivalent, but I don't think they wanted to go down to the bottom. Like they want to be up here somewhere, and that's down at the bottom, selling big packs of like 30 microfiber towels for like 10, 15 quid, where they're like 30p a towel or whatever. Compete with Costco, because there's a lot of detailers, professional detailers, that just treat microfiber almost like a disposable thing that gets hammered. It's best when it's brand new. You wash it once, you know, and it's not as good as when it was new. And over those wash cycles, it becomes a bit stiffer and gets dirt in it. And so they just tend to use them a few times and then they bin them. So they go for the cheapest. I'd like to see Rag Company compete at that cheapest price, just because they can. Why lose that market? Because I think that chunk of the market is still significant. I know they have the rip and rags thing, but that's not. They're about £1 a towel, so they're not right down at the bottom. So I'd like to see them compete with Costco, just because they would be able to do it. But yeah, this is a bit like the Minx towel that we reviewed ages ago, but with a border. It's more of a fleecy kind of towel. Not as good as the Eagle Edgeless, but works fine, works really well, even on stiff compounds, which I didn't expect it to do. It was good on that. It was great on the glaze and the wax. It'd be ideal for that. Did work okay with the QD, but I just feel, I'm pretty sure, it doesn't matter which the towel is, if you use them wet, you use them to dry the car, or use them where there's water-based products involved, they can just be a little bit sticky. Depends though, depends how you do it, because if I used it on a water-based sealant or quick detailer and just spread the product out with a little block applicator that was damp, you know, mist onto the panel, spread it out with the block applicator, then it would buff absolutely fine with that cloth. But if it was wet and I'm using it as a drying aid and spraying it on, there's loads of water and that towel's getting quite wet, it won't work as well and it will stick. Yeah, it just won't work as well. So yeah, as a rinseless, it'll be fine. Let me know what you feel about this one. Very interested to go back into microfiber. So hard, isn't it, to innovate within microfiber? Not much has changed since, if I wind the clock back to the start of the channel. We don't have that much going on in the microfiber world because it is tough to innovate. How can you innovate? Can you create different... Could you go 60-40? It might be too soft. It might be like a marshmallow or memory foam. You don't want to go higher than 80-20. When you go 90-10, it becomes wiry and doesn't absorb anything. So 80-20 through to about 70-30. What else could you do? Are there other blends you can do? Are there other hybrid combinations of different sides? What's going to happen in the microfiber world? What's the next innovation going to be? Don't know. But part of the fun for me was exploring it. And yeah, this has brought a little bit of a reminiscent smile back to my face doing so. So decent price on these for that particular type of cloth. And I'll put a link to it in the description. You might even be able to get it cheaper with the code Forensic. If the code doesn't work, then it's non-discountable. I suspect this might be non-discountable because it's already pretty affordable. That's the Wolf Pack from the Rag Company. I don't know, I'm knackered. I've done nothing. It's me, over and out. Doug.